So I added some water effects around the top. You can see I used a brush and I pulled some of it into fast streams of water pulling through here, and then created bigger waves going back and then getting smaller and then going back into the Mod Podge gloss that's back at the back. This will all dry clear, and then I'll be able to come back with a white paintbrush and actually, paint the waves in. Down the bottom, I glued everything down really well with the water effects as well, and made heavy waves coming out. After it dries, when it's clear, then I'll finish the Mod Podge gloss through the rest of down here and all the way down in through the rapids, and then I can start working on creating the white water effects as the rapids go down. Well, the water effects is not completely dry here at the bottom and top of the waterfall. I'm going to start putting the Mod Podge gloss in all these different pieces so that we can start working down the rapids with everything that we need to do. We're just trying to create some waves here. This will all dry clear, and then I will come back and put some white paint on top to create the white water, and then we'll add in some heavy rapids coming down through each layer. This is creating a lot of bubbles on top, but I'm going to use a straw to blow some of this around, and some of those bubbles will go away. Got a lot of the bubbles out. There's still quite a number in there. Now I can come back with a toothpick probably and pop a lot of these little bubbles, especially in the parts where they're going to be in the peaks of the waves, because the little bubbles will end up leaving space for dirt and stuff to get into. But we won't get them all out, but I'll get some of them out here. And I'm going to keep doing this all the way down the waterfall, or all the way down the rapids, till I have it exactly where I want it. And then I'm going to come back and put some white water caps on top of this. So I've put some Mod Podge down in this second one. I'm coming back and trying to pop some of the bubbles here and moving the water around a little bit. This one I don't need to blow the air into it, spread it out as much, because it's all going to run in a specific direction. And I might put a little air on it, but right now I'm just trying to get everything flowing in the right direction to go down to the next level. So I'm creating some peaks that are going to be the water rushing down through the next segment. This is a lot higher, so that would only have water coming over it if it was flooding. That was intentional. This over here is a little bit higher than over here, but I can get away with it. It's just a tiny amount. Once I put the rapids in, it'll never be seen. And the last section is now in with the Mod Podge gloss. I am not going to do this lower section until I put the front on this and start making the connections up there, because I think I'll just make a mess out of it in putting everything together. So for right now, this is not going to get done down here. That'll get done after I build the next section of the layout that sits in front of this, which will allow me to connect all the tracks from one side to the other. Then we'll be close to finishing laying track, except for the town that'll be at the other end of the layout. That's going to be its own work effort. It'll be pretty big. So just popping bubbles again, at least the big ones. A lot of these you won't see anything here because this water is going to be a lot of white water coming through here, so it's probably not going to really matter too much. The toothpick wasn't working very well because these things are just very small, so I'm using a very, very fine paintbrush to try and knock some of this stuff out. Okay, the upper river up here, all of the white water that I created with the water effects is ready to be finished up. I'm just waiting for this stuff to dry here, and then I might not wait that long, but I'll be able to finish the white water coming into the waterfall, and then when this all dries, I'll start doing white water on down here. Then I'll add the rapids. When that's all finished, I'll do some white water down here, and then add the rapids in all the way down to this level. I'll do the final rapids off of here into this after I add on the front. So everything's starting to move along pretty good. I'm now starting to add some of this cotton fiber material in around the bottom of the waterfall and behind the water. It makes it look like it is splashing up or misting up. You can see some of it back in here. And I'm just going to start putting some of the stuff in there and just peel it off and make little balls and spread it out as thin as possible because you don't want to see chunks of this. And then I'll just take it and stick it in to the waterfall in such a way that it kind of looks like it's misting up from the bottom of the water. Because you'll see that on any big waterfall. I mean, and this is scale feet, 86 feet, so that's a pretty tall waterfall. You would expect it to generate some mist at the bottom. And so I'm just going to be putting in some of this stuff here and there. Trying not to cover up too much of the background that's down there because there's a lot of stuff in here. But give it a little bit more realism with that misting happening back there. Saw this in a video, another video that somebody did with creating a waterfall diorama, and kind of liked it. So I figured I'd stick it in here. I'm not gluing any of this in, so if I don't like it, I can easily take it out. But so far I'm kind of liking this idea and what I'm getting out of it. I'll keep sticking to the tweezers and won't stay back where I put it. Get these things turned back the way they're supposed to be facing. Get that one back. Okay, get another little piece with some more pop. Just put it right out front there. As you can see, the effect is, I'm looking at it on the camera here, and it looks like a mist of water coming up. As long as you do it thin enough and you don't put too much in there, it actually comes out looking really good. As you can see, I'm not gluing any of this down right yet. I'm waiting to see what it looks like. And since I have to get in here and paint some of this white, I think it's just, just playing around a little bit here to see how all this stuff looks. And I do really like it. So I think I'm going to put it back in when the time comes. But that's how you would do that. All right, I decided to do the water effects for the rapids this time, instead of creating the rapids on the piece of glass that I have. I just wanted to actually try and build it for the first time right on the actual scenery and try and create the flow of water and everything with the water effects, and then I can create all the white water that I need to create in here after this all dries, just by topping it. Now, I'm just going to play around with this a little bit, but I think it looks pretty good. You tell me. You see the water flow coming from there into there, and some churning back into this corner here where it doesn't go anywhere. And then out here, we've got a big drop off here. With that, I might have to fill that in and add a little bit more water effects to that, because that is a pretty steep drop off from there. And then all of this work behind where it drops off. I mean, I have plenty of water effects up here, and then I have it softening out a little bit. I'll still have some white water in here because it's a pretty big waterfall. But you know, it basically is almost swimmable there because it's not churning quite so bad. We'll see when it's done. We'll see what I decide to do with it. But I think I'm pretty good with that. And then we'll look at it after it's done and see what we got. Now you can actually see the reflection of the waves in the back there. That's all going to be some whitewater caps. I still have to do all that painting back there. So I took out all of the little froth that I put in there, and so we're in pretty good shape there, creating a little bit off of these rocks because of the water flow. We'll see how that looks after it's done and dried, and maybe I can put some white caps. You know, I should be able to. And I want to get some white around the edges of, actually, let me put some water effects around the edges over here where the water's just going to lap up onto the side. There we go. We'll let that dry and then do some painting on top of it tomorrow and create some whitewater caps. And if I need any stiffer peaks, I have the water waves to add to that if I need to. But I think the water effects really does a good job of this because I like the way this all came out back here. You won't get much, clear water like you do in here with the water effects, but you still can see through it. It looks pretty good. So, when you guys start doing stuff like this, just play with it. As somebody said, it dries clear, so it's always fixable. You can add more to it to fix it up if you want. So I decided to come back and use the paintbrush to create some breaks in this water where it's going to be a little bit more turbulent. Can't do that as much with a toothpick as you can with a brush. So I can create more turbulence with the brush and then use the toothpick to create the straighter lines, because I don't like the depth of the lines I get from the paintbrush. Now, if I had a thinner paintbrush, it might matter and do a little better, but put some waves on top of this so that when I actually paint this over, it'll look pretty cool. All right. For now, I'm going to leave that alone. I decided to do one more thing tonight. All of these waves up here, as they come into here, since it's all pretty well dried up there, I'm going to start putting the white white caps on that, and just kind of randomly picked the wave tops. You need a lot of light on it so you can see the reflection for where the wave tops are, and also see the way the water is running. Just teeny bit on the tip of the brush is all you need to do this. Start running the lines into the waterfall as the water starts moving faster and churning a little bit more. I think that's pretty good. I don't think I need any more in there as it's pulling into those waves, because I think that looks awesome. Now for right now, we're going to move down to the lower waterfall and work a little bit down there since I poured too much paint out. So we're just going to work around some of this right now. So as this dried, I saw that I actually needed to get it a little heavier in closer to the water. And then feather it out a little bit as I move away from the waterfall where the water's hitting. Alright, I think I'm done for tonight because I can't really do anything more. I have water effects in there that's not dry, but I'm kind of liking the way this is looking. So if we take a step back and look at this big picture here, That's what we're looking like right now. Still got a lot of work to do, but starting to really come together. Liking this a lot. So everything is dry down here now, and I'm going to add some color to all of this. I pulled out all of the fiber I had temporarily installed and added some color underneath it closer to where the waterfall hits in the basin. I then added the fiber back into the falls, and as you can see here, it looks pretty good. I'm going to add some more color out front of that now to get more of a whitewash effect from the water splashing into the basin. And I'm going to use two brushes, one with paint to dab paint into some specific areas, and the other without any paint to spread that out lightly over the area. You can still see some of the color underneath the white, but much more muted from the whitewash over it. Actually, I can dry brush this way over the waves to pull that in a little bit more and get just a little bit less white as I move out further. That is kind of the goal. It'll eventually come into flatter water. I think that looks pretty good. I'm going to do some white around the areas around the edges. I got to get this paintbrush a lot flatter than that. Actually, I have another brush here which is brand new. Let me use that one. So, get paper towel as well. All along the water line around the edges, you're probably going to see a little bit of white water. That was a little more than I wanted there. And then as I get closer to the edge of the drop-off into the first set of rapids, then the water's going to churn a little bit more because it starts moving a lot faster there. Not sure if I'm liking the way some of those waves are coming out in there. Might take some of this out because it's just all over the place and it's not coming out the way I think it should come out. But I'll let that, I'll come back with some alcohol and take that out. Well, don't use alcohol in Mod Podge. It's starting to make it cloudy, so. And I can't use water. The water will lift the Mod Podge off of the top of the epoxy, so I'm just going to have to live with it as is. think I'm going to have to add a little bit more water effects in these first two rapids to get more out of it. It needs to run fast coming out of there, so, and I don't think I'm getting it running fast enough. This is all going to be white through here, and I just don't think I have enough water movement coming through there to make it look like what I want it to look like. So I'm going to add a little bit more water effects in. These, I think, they might need a little bit more too. All right, well, I'm going to leave it at that for right now. I'm just going to try and get some color in this basin, and then I'll put the water effects in so I can figure out exactly where I want everything to go. I'll move this around here a little bit so you can get a better view of this and where I'm going with it. I mean, it sort of looks okay. I just, there's not enough water movement in through there, so because I want that coming through pretty fast, and so that this would be almost all white through there, and I just don't have the water current moving the way I want it to there. Well, I again forgot the video while I was doing stuff. So I added the cotton up top there. I think I said that before, to create that mist at the bottom of the falls. I've finished all this up in here, and I added some water effects to create all of this wake and rapids in here. And then I just painted it. I had two different brushes that I used. One was this very fine tip brush. There we go. Let me move it back a little bit. And then the other one was this flat brush. And I used the flat brush to go over the top of the waves, so I get them really white. And then I used the really fine brush to get into the details, get around the rocks, and highlight also even more on top of the waves. Some of these waves down here, I'm highlighting in front of them with this brush. So as the waves are breaking, you're getting the white in underneath of them. Just trying to create that effect of bigger waves as it goes through there. I have some kayaks being delivered, but I don't have people for the kayaks. But it'll be funny to see how the kayaks fit in here. I think they're about this big. They're pretty tiny. So we'll see what they look like when they get here. But as far as I'm concerned, for right now, I think I am done with this section here. I have to finish weathering my bridges, and the lower one is just about done, and then I'll do the upper one, and the up one, the top one up there is already done. And I think I am pretty much done with this. It looks absolutely fabulous. I love it. And after I get the bridges in, I'll take you on a detailed tour of everything in the entire scene. But there you go. That's pretty darn good. I'm pretty happy with how that came out. After I get the bridges in, I'll do another video. Okay, we got the lower bridge weathered and installed. Think it looks pretty good. See if I can get more bright light in here. There we go. So you can zoom in and see the weathering on the bridge, the rapids down below, and everything else that's going on. It looks pretty good. I'm very happy with how this came out. Still got the big double bridge, double track bridge to put in up here, and going over to up there. As soon as that's done, we will be done with this whole section, and then I'll be able to build out the next section in front of it. Couldn't be happier. Everything's looking absolutely spectacular. So see you shortly. I finished weathering the middle bridge, and it looks really good. Put it back in, installed it, and time to run some trains on here. I think some of my track's dirty, so I'm going to do a little bit of cleanup. But there you see it. That's what it's going to look like, or that's what it looks like. It's done. I'm done with this scene. Everything looks great. There's the upper bridge. Everything is installed. I'm going to get some trains running around this, and this will be the first run since I put all the bridges back in and finished this scene. I had to clean the tracks off. I had some dirty tracks, but I was able to get them cleaned off, and here it comes. Well, that is the end of the river and waterfall build, and this is the end result. I know all these videos were long and detailed, but I hope they provided some insight into how I build out this scene and maybe give you some ideas for your layouts. My son came by while my wife and I were away last March with his camera and equipment to take some pics and videos, and then he sent these to me while we were away. I'm including them here because they really show off more detail, and he does a few flyover short videos too. Enjoy, and see you all when I start the next piece of this layout.
Here is something truly awesome. Yep, it's a model.